Hey everyone. I got a comment the other day that I thought was actually a very good idea for a video, and that comment basically was asking me, what do I think is the future of Elemental Shaman now that a lot of other classes got nerfed and a lot of people are talking about the damage of Shaman and how quote-unquote overpowered it is and how strong it is and the possibility of it getting nerfed, and therefore what do I think would be the nerfs we would come to expect because of that. But before I get into that, I want to go over a couple things. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of webcam videos, and I just want to address why, because I've been getting some questions about that as well. I work a full-time job, and I have 2 kids, and I have a house and stuff, so I have a lot of responsibilities throughout the day, so I don't always get the time and the luxury to sit down and just record videos with a webcam and my microphone and stuff without, you know, a bunch of interactions and annoyances and disturbances, and so I can't always do that. But I try my best, and so I really want to do some more informational videos, so I'm going to be doing this. I'm probably going to do an updated builds guide soon, and there's a couple other things I want to do as well on top of my regular PvP videos, which I hope you guys have been enjoying. The support has been pretty unreal lately. We're at like 620 something subs right now, which is insane to me. I never thought that I was gonna grow this rapidly, and so we need like 1,000 for monetization, so we're actually getting pretty close to that, which is amazing. And the views, like, a lot of people have been watching the videos and liking them and commenting questions. Again, I haven't been getting a whole lot of negativity, but a constant thing that has been happening is a lot of people almost keep pressuring me to run certain builds. Like, everyone keeps asking me why I'm not running the Stormkeeper build, and I don't want to make this the video because I'm going to be doing this in another video, which is another thing I wanted to go over, is like the updated builds. The Stormkeeper, it's a preference. I don't want to run Stormkeeper because it's my preference. I understand how good it is, and a lot of top tier shamans run it, but also a lot of top tier shamans run this build that I'm running right here, or something very similar to it. And so I just want to express that and make that clear to everybody, that just because you see something that's viable, works very good, maybe it works very good for you, not everyone needs to or wants to play that way. So I just want to make that very clear. Okay, so now back to the video. The possible nerfs that I foresee. So there are basically 4 main abilities that Elemental does right now that is like the top of the damage list. So you have Lightning Bolt, primarily from Stormkeeper. So we'll just say Stormkeeper, because generally outside of Stormkeeper, you're not really going to be doing any Lightning Bolts. Flame Shock, actually, because of this build that I'm running right here, has been a lot of my top damage for a lot of games. Lava Burst and Earth Shock. Those are like the top 4 damaging abilities almost all the time. Yes, you obviously have some weird niche abilities like Fire Elemental Meteor. If you haven't seen my last video that I put out, Fire Elemental Meteor can do some good damage. Now, the problem with Elemental's damage right now is that it's extremely RNG based. So almost all of the extra damage and where the damage becomes insane is when you get those high crits and you get the overloads at the same time, and you get like the back-to-back overloads, and it's just it's very hard to get like those insane pulls, but Elemental can still do some strong consistent burst even without those crits or those overloads. But when you get both of them, you like basically can one-shot people. So the damage, the problem with the damage isn't necessarily in the abilities themselves, because if you look at like a normal Lava Burst or a normal Lightning Bolt from Stormkeeper, you know, a Lightning Bolt from Stormkeeper might do like 80k, same with like Lava Burst. Maybe they'll hit a little bit higher, or they'll crit and they'll hit higher. But then the problem is when those have their overloads associated with them. So for instance, I want to go over like Power of the Maelstrom. If you have 2 points in this, you have a 10% chance to cause your next 2 lightning bolts to trigger an additional time. So that's both your Stormkeeper charges are going to hit an additional time. Like, that's a lot of extra damage, but it's only a 10% chance. That's massive RNG that you have to almost always keep track of with a weak aura, because it's such a strong proc. And on top of that, you also have flow of power, so then this also increases your elemental overloads. And then you have like something like Echo Chamber, which increases the damage dealt by your overloads. So, and then you also have like deeply rooted elements, which has a 7% chance to proc Ascendance, which you've seen in a lot of my videos where I have like my weak aura that says like Meatball God, because like when this procs, it also increases the damage of your future lava burst for about 6 seconds by an amount equal to your crit chance. And so like all these RNG elements can make elemental damage just like vary so much that it's just ridiculous. You can actually have like a super dry period where your damage is horrible, but then you can like hit these insane like crits back to back, elemental overloads, your deeply rooted elements, and you can just fucking destroy someone in like 1 second. So it's really all over the place. So the areas where I think they could do some nerfs would be like, I could actually see them completely getting rid of the second part of this talent. So like instead of increasing their overloads, they might just completely get rid of that part and just keep the Maelstrom generation. They might tweak around like maybe deeply rooted elements. They might nerf Magma Chamber again, because some people have been complaining about Elemental's Earthshock crits, which I don't really think Earthshock damage is the problem. But the thing with Elemental is like, you don't stat crit generally. There is like a build that you can, like if you want to run like Elemental Blast and shit, you could run more crit. But our crit chance is very low. As you can see down here, like it's my lowest stat by far. And this is even worse in like a PvP setting because all these stats go up more, so the difference is a little bit higher. But then you have like something like this, which increases the Earthshock's damage, and so like if that crits with this talent, it's gonna do a lot more damage. But again, it's just so RNG based that like if you hit a normal Earthshock crit, I feel like that's actually not a ton of damage. Like I've had Earthshocks hit for like 60 to like 160,000, and you know, even a crit could hit for like 160,000. So I really feel like Earthshock isn't the issue. Maybe the amount of like Maelstrom that you have to use into an Earthshock, or like how fast you generate Earthshocks would be the issue. If they keep it the way it is, I could see them nerfing Earthshock damage a little bit. But I feel like Earthshock was never really the issue. It was always like the Stormkeeper overloads and the Lava Burst overloads. And then the other thing I mentioned too is that they could nerf possibly Flame Shock. And the Flame Shock's damage primarily comes from Skybreaker's Fire Demise, because your Flame Shock has a 50% increased chance to crit now. And so when you're running a build that doesn't already run a lot of crit, you're running like Haste and Mastery and Versatility, you're running everything but crit, and then you add this static increased crit chance on top of that, which is 50%. That's a massive change. Now you have a 57% chance instead of 7% chance for your Flame Shocks to crit. That's like basically almost every single Flame Shock. And like the value you get from this, because you're not running crit chance, is massive. And that's not even the only thing that's involved in this talent, and it's just a very good talent. That's why I love Skybreakers. I've had tons of games where Flame Shock was my top dealing damage. So I could possibly see Flame Shock getting nerfed. And I think the reason that this became a problem, quote unquote problem, is because you have like Control of Lava, which increases its damage more often. You're stacking a ton of haste already. And then you also have your Fire Elemental. So while your Fire Ellie is active, your Flame Shocks are dealing damage faster. Your Flame Shocks are lasting longer. And then you also combine that with the other effect of Skybreakers, where your Flame Shock crits reduce the cooldown on your Ellie. So then it's just like this vicious cycle of constant Flame Shock damage, because you're constantly having them tick faster for having your Ellie out. You're having more Ellies out because your Flame Shocks are critting. And also the other reason this is becoming probably like a problem is because of something like Lava Surge. So your Flame Shock damage over time has a 10% chance to reset your lava burst. And so when Flame Shock is having all these extra fast ticks, you're going to be proccing stuff more like Lava Surge. And, you know, also you have Call of Fire, which increases the damage of all your fire abilities and your fire elemental. You have Flames of the Cauldron, which makes them deal Flame Shock even faster. So like you have like 15% faster here. You got 33% faster from your fire elemental, and then you also have 15% faster from Control of Lava. So all those things combined just make Flame Shocks tick very rapidly and do a lot of damage. But again, all of this is just so RNG dependent that I feel like the nerfs that the only nerfs that Shaman really deserve are all of these RNGs to be like somehow balanced. Again, I feel like they could get rid of like the flow of power overloads, which I actually think this is bugged out. I made a tweet about this where I don't think this works with Primordial Wave, because when I use Primordial Wave, I get the cast from the Lava Burst, you get the Primordial Wave Lava Burst, and then if it overloads, you just get the overload. So theoretically, from flow of power, it increases their elemental overloads by 1, so your Lava Burst should have a second overload associated with it, and it only has 1, so I only counted 3 Lava Bursts when my Lava Burst overloads, and I think that's because it's counting the Primordial Wave as an overload. I'm not sure if that's a bug or not, but I already feel like this talent isn't exactly working. At least I've only tested it with Primordial Wave. Okay, so just to summarize kind of everything I've gone over, I could see them nerfing Stormkeeper damage a little bit. Maybe they'll nerf something like Surge of Power, so for your lightning bolts, your next cast will cause an additional 2 elemental overloads, so maybe they'll make that only 1 overload instead. I could see them nerfing Flow of Power. I could see them nerfing maybe the speed at which or the damage of Flame Shock, which would kind of be stupid because I've seen a lot of other classes deal periodic damage, like Demon Hunter, for instance, like Throw Glaive, Soul Rend hits higher than like fucking Flame Shock, which is dispellable and needed for your Lava Burst damage. So I don't know. I feel like Flame Shock, if they nerf Flame Shock damage, I would be fine with it if they gave us like more dispel protection, but that's just not going to happen. So I'd rather they just didn't nerf Flame Shock at all. And I could see them nerfing the overload damage maybe, and maybe like Power of the Maelstrom, which is kind of a cheesy talent anyways. I hate this talent, like a 10% chance. I hate RNG talents like this. It's dog shit, I feel like, especially since like if you're trying to pair this with Stormkeeper, it's very, very like just annoying to try to maintain, and that's kind of part of where you can really just one-shot people. They might nerf Primordial, but again, I really don't think there's anything wrong with Primordial. I just think it's the number of overloads that you're allowed to hit. Maybe they nerf the Mastery a little bit. Maybe they nerf the actual Lava Burst damage that come after the initial Lava Burst. So like you can see here, it says your Lava Burst will also hit all targets for 80% of normal damage. They might maybe nerf that a little bit, but there's not really too much they can nerf without it ruining the spec, because if they start nerfing things like maybe Primordial Wave only hits like 2 targets, or like they just change Primordial Surge to not even give you Lava Surges, and instead they just increase the damage or something. Like there's a lot of things they can do to nerf Shaman and fuck up the rotation or the spec or the fun of the spec. And so I'm very, very nervous. I really hope that they don't ruin the spec, because I love it right now. I think it's very fun the way it is. It's the first time where Shaman has felt fun, because just hard casting anything in WoW at the moment is just a fucking nightmare. I think casting in the game is just, it's so beyond savable that it's kind of funny. The fact that spell pushback is still in the game is just a joke. Like this talent over here, Tranquil Air Totem, prevents cast pushback. Like why is this still in the game? I don't understand. And not only that, but like brimming with life. Why is this a fucking shaman talent? It's like, do I want 8% health? No. Okay. It's like you have to take the talent. It's 8% health. Like, why would you? I don't know. It's just stuff like that that I find funny. But yeah, and I haven't really seen anyone running LE Blast anymore, so I don't even know if they're going to nerf this anymore. But honestly, it probably should still get nerfed because, I mean, if people are complaining about the Stormkeeper Lava Burst one-shot, then this would 100% one-shot them. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, one other thing too is they could possibly nerf the tier set. So the tier set, yeah, you like my guys? You like my tier set, guys? I got one piece. You know what I got in the vault this week? These same exact leggings. They might nerf this tier set because the lava burst, lightning bolts increase the damage of your earth shocks, earthquakes stacking up to 5 times. So that's more earth shock damage, which people are complaining about. And then casting earth shock increases your mastery again, which is part of the main problem with the overloads. And so I could see them potentially nerfing that too. But again, these are just like damage numbers, and if they just nerf like damage numbers, they're not really going to address the main issue, which is the RNG aspect of elemental. And they need to fix the RNG aspect without ruining the spec, because if they just start removing stuff like deeply rooted elements, flow of power, and then you're just throwing out like 2 meatballs that hit for like 60k each, it just doesn't feel good anymore, because now you're not doing any damage, you're not putting out any pressure, and you're just kind of fucked now. So if they're gonna do that, they need to compensate for it somehow, whether that be through defensives or damage in other areas. But I really hope they keep the fun aspect of elemental right now, because I think it's in a very good spot. So let me know what you guys think are maybe any other issues that I didn't foresee or address in this video. If there's something I didn't go over that you guys think might get nerfed for Shaman. But those are what I have been experiencing as my top damaging abilities and what I think they would nerf. So just leave a comment down below. Also check out my stream, twitch.tv/metallurgy, where we are still trying to figure out our stream schedule. I think I'm going to be trying to do like maybe 1 dedicated stream per weekend, and maybe like a surprise stream here or there if I can. I've been focusing a lot on my YouTube channel, and I feel like that's working out a bit better with like my schedule and just my day-to-day life. So I'm having a bit more fun with that. But I still want to stream. I still want to make sure I can do some live content as well. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next video.